TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem, and in today's top stories. Israel thanks the United States for reinvigorating the sanctions regime against the inherently corrupt International Criminal Court in The Hague. Iran asserts that the war against Israel will persist until it is removed. U.S. Special Ukraine Envoy Keith Kellogg stresses that the Islamic Republic of Iran is in its weakest state since its inception. Israel will not accept the Islamist Hamas as the governing body in the Gaza Strip under any circumstances. Speaking alongside his Hungarian counterpart in Budapest, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar insisted that for regional peace and stability to prevail, Hamas must be removed.
If we will be able to finish Hamas rule in Gaza, it will be a huge long-term contribution to the stability in the Middle East. Because look what happened now after October 7. We saw a war from Iran, Iraq, Yemen, Lebanon, Syria. So Hamas caused all that by initiating an attack on Israel on October 7. So it is clear that if Hamas will stay in power without, and we don't have illusions about his ideology, instability will continue and we will not be able to promote peace and security in the region.
Jerusalem's top diplomat went on to voice hope that the three stages of the hostage release deal would be fully implemented, evidently taking note of circulating pessimism amid a rise of Hamas violations that have resulted in sporadic exchanges of fire in a number of locations.
We hope that the framework for the hostage release will continue until its end, but of course, I cannot guarantee that, and we will not abandon our objectives because it is extremely important for the security and stability of the region.
Foreign Minister Sa'ar also seized the opportunity to thank U.S. President Donald Trump for reversing an executive order by his predecessor renewing sanctions against members of the International Criminal Court in The Hague, a highly politicized institution that produced arrest warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, despite lacking any legal mandate to do so, since Israel is not a signatory of the Rome Statute.
And I praise the American legislation against the ICC, because what the ICC had done has only one interpretation and meaning. They attacked Israel's right for self-defense. And we are talking about the most attacked and threatened country in the world. So it's not only legally distorted, it's morally distorted.
Én azt gondolom, hogy a nemzetközi bíróság.
I think that the decision of the International Court of Justice to issue an arrest warrant against Benjamin Netanyahu has discredited the International Court. It has made it clear that it is a politically motivated institution, and obviously these politically motivated decisions of the ICC have an effect on our plans of what kind of cooperation we should have in the future with the International Court.
Legyen a nemzetközi bíróság.
Turning to the northern Samaria region of the so-called West Bank, where Israeli security forces eliminated two terrorists in the village of Bulkin last night, which is situated near the Palestinian terror-infested city of Jenin. IDF special forces of the Duvdevan unit, in close cooperation with the ISA, surrounded a residential building in the village for roughly 4 hours, during the course of which exchanges of fire erupted, resulting in the elimination of the terrorists. It is important to note that the two terrorists in question were responsible for a murderous terror attack some 2 weeks ago, in which 3 Israelis were murdered. Meanwhile, a member of the family that housed the two terrorists voiced outrage over the IDF counter-terror operation and warned that if Israel succeeds in eradicating the terror infrastructure of the so-called Mukawama, Arabic for resistance, in the area of Jenin, it would undoubtedly impact those terror elements throughout the entire West Bank, including in Samaria, Judea, and the Jordan Valley.
What they failed to achieve in Gaza, they are trying to make up for it here in Jenin, not only in Jenin. Jenin is the title of resistance and fighting. If they finish the resistance in Jenin, they will finish it in all the West Bank.
It is interesting to know that while the IDF launched Operation Iron Wall in the northern Samaria region in particular, the Palestinian Authority is conducting its own parallel operation against the same terror cells in the lawless territory, where Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad have gained prominence through financial backing and munitions which are smuggled into the territory by the Islamic Republic of Iran. Turning to the Swiss city of Davos, where Iran's vice president for strategy, Mohammad Javad Zarif, who spearheads the Ayatollah regime's disinformation and propaganda campaigns throughout the Western world, asserted that the Iran-led axis of proxies, which he labeled as resistance, will persist so long as Israel exists.
The resistance will stay as long as the occupation stays, as long as repression stays. Resistance to Israel, to Israeli occupation, to apartheid, to genocide, existed before the Iranian Revolution.
As noted by the Iranian propaganda minister, the Ayatollah regime joined the Islamic Jihad against Israel before it managed to topple the Pahlavi dynasty in Iran in 1979. And while Zarif's Q&A session was plagued by an abundance of lies and calculated deceit, the Iranian official seized the public stage granted to him by the World Economic Forum in Davos, leveled both veiled warnings and blatant insults toward U.S. President Donald Trump and his team.
I hope that this time around, a Trump 2 will be more serious, more focused, more realistic, to know that his withdrawal the withdrawal that was imposed on him, and he has said it that he did it for Israel. And he has said now that he won't do anything for any other country. He said it on his inauguration. After he withdrew from JCPOA, Iran has gained much more nuclear capability.
It is important to correct the claim by Zarif, since he knows full well that if the Islamic Republic of Iran would break out toward a nuclear weapon, both Israel and the United States would have launched a decisive attack against Tehran's nuclear infrastructure. And while Israel's aerial strike against Iran's defensive and production capabilities on October 26th of last year stripped the Ayatollah regime naked from any capacity to defend itself, the Islamic Republic is heavy at work to try and convince the international community that it remains a force to be reckoned with.
Nobody thinks of Iran as such an easy place to carry out their whims. So we can move forward.
So let's talk about
move forward based on opportunity rather than based on threats.
In its evident attempt to deter any kinetic attack that may likely result in the fall of the Ayatollah regime, the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps has been hard at work to try and reinvigorate its depleted deterrence, launching dozens of consecutive exercises, which have ironically showcased to Western powers the significantly diminished capabilities of the Ayatollah regime. It is worth noting that prior to President Donald Trump taking office on January 20th, his designate, Special Envoy for Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, stated that the Ayatollah regime should not be feared, they should be challenged, as he put it, and change must occur, and it must occur now.
The regime in Iran is weaker and more vulnerable than it has been in decades. Much of that is because of strategic overreach by her current leaders and also because select countries have demonstrated the inherent weakness of the current Iranian regime. They should not be feared. They should be challenged, and change must occur, and it must occur now. The opportunity is to change Iran for the better. It is current, but it is my experience that this opportunity will not last forever. The good and immediate news is that the world will soon have an American president who truly understands change.
Trump's Ukraine emissary further stressed that the soon-to-be reinvigorated maximum pressure campaign must be a global effort to confront Iran's malign aspirations.
We understand the global threat of an Iran, and especially of a nuclear Iran. The question is, how do you achieve the objectives of a more democratic and a freer government, and the one that is less fleeting? For the United States, a policy of maximum pressure must be reinstated, and it must be reinstated with the help of the rest of the globe. And that includes standing with the Iranian people and their aspirations for democracy.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. It is important to know that TV7 Israel is a non-profit ministry with all of our productions exclusively reliant on monthly donations. Therefore, I would like to thank all of you who proactively support TV7 Israel. And note further, if you're blessed by the content of our programs, I would like to encourage you to donate. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. Separately, I'd like to encourage you, pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.